nice soups. I love them. They're just fantastic. You can eat plenty of them. They're filling. They can be nutritious. You know, they're one of these wonderful things, and you know you can't make enough of them. And they're just one of those filler uppers that you should have all the time. With this one, what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a roasted carrot soup. So I'm going to roast my vegetables, give a nice kind of more earthy, kind of that nice roasty, caramelized taste. I'm going to put a little bit of honey in with that as well, just to kind of just make it more interesting roast. So I'm going to start roasting those and then add the honey in, and then I'm going to finish this. Sometimes carrot and orange soup, I find sometimes can be a little too orangey. It's very hard one to get balanced right. It's either too sweet, it's because carrots are sweet, the oranges, you use nice juicy ones, they're sweet, and it kind of lacks a little bit of interest. But a way around that is making a thing called an orange gremolata, which is a lovely kind of condiment. Now traditionally it's made with citrus, with parsley, a little bit of garlic, but I'm just going to use just orange juice and zest of a nice big orange. Again, herb wise, I've got a nice little selection of herbs. I've got chives here, oregano, a little bit of basil, a little bit of parsley and things like that. But if you just can get parsley, just use parsley. You can get a little bit of oregano, you know, play around with it. And and also it's a kind of an optional ingredient here, is a thing called sumac. You'll pick this up in the kind of more Arabic-y orientated Asian stores, and it's kind of a ground berry, which gives a lovely kind of citrusy note as well. And it's a lovely bright vivid red as well. It just makes things look really nice. It's commonly used in Arabic cuisines. Something well worth trying as just a kind of little sprinkle on condiment. Anyway, to get the soup, what I've done is I'm going to roast this one. So into a roasting dish, just heat it up a little bit. I'm just going to add a little bit of coconut oil, kind of a generous teaspoon. And then just let that kind of melt through a little bit. And then I'm going to put all my vegetables. These are mainly carrots. But the kind of aromatic vegetables as well, which are the kind of the foundation for many soups. I'm going to add with the carrots about an onion, not too much of the other ones, because again it's a carrot soup, because I want them to dominate it. A little bit of celery and the white part of a leek. I don't want to use too much green parts in this because I want the carrots to be coming through and try to keep the oranges as much as I can. Nice rusticy kind of soup. I'm going to put a pinch of salt on that. And then just let those kind of more coat with a little bit of oil just before I add them into the oven. And I've preheated the oven as hot as it will go, where I'll just roast these off. But the main purpose here is to kind of start them off here in the pan, start getting the roasting, that little bit of caramelization and everything else going. As you can see there, just cook it away nicely. Now, also I'm just going to I'm going to just do a gremolata very quickly. Could use a food process for this. I think a mortar and pestle is always better because you're crushing as opposed to chopping. You're going to get a much better flavour because you're kind of doing this kind of pounding motion. First thing is pinch of salt, not too much. And then into that, what I'm going to do is take my herbs and my garlic. I've got 2 cloves of garlic. Again, you can adjust it if you want it. If you want to use a little bit more, or for that matter, a little bit less. Just crush up your garlic with a little bit of salt. Then into that, just going to roughly chop up my herbs. And again, you could just get, like again, gremolata is traditionally made with parsley. If you can get the flat parsley, it's the best. It's the one that they really use. And I'm just going to give those a little bit of a pounding as well. Just let my veggies just swell off there a little bit. And again, this pounding will always extract much more flavour than you'll ever get by using a chopping action, unless you're using very high next up into that, the juice and zest, the zest being very important. I've used a fine grater of an orange. I'm going to pop that all in there. And then finally, a bit of about 30-40 ml of good olive oil. And that is all that's to your gremolata. And just kind of give it a little bit of a stir around, and it'll start to kind of emulsify itself. And you have this beautiful, fresh tasting. It's a great way of introducing the orange into the soup. And then you have the roast, and it kind of contrasts the sweetness, the richness of this with the nice earthiness of the kind of roasted soup. And they just tend to work very well. And then the pumpkin seeds that I'm going to use and a little bit of sumac add interest, and they'll add a little bit of texture. So I'm going to pop those into the oven, let that kind of infuse for a little while, and other than that, there's not really a lot to this. Oh, I'm just going to add a little bit of pepper in here as well, just before it goes into the oven. And then carrots and all those veggies into the oven until they become nice and tender. I'd say somewhere in the order of about 30 minutes, thereabouts, in a good hot oven. So, and just after pulling these out of the oven there, as you can see, they're all nicely starting to roast up, tenderize, getting a little bit of a stir around. And at this stage, when they're about half cooked, I'm going to add a tablespoon of honey. Just kind of trickle it all over the place. And just kind of coat the veggies. You don't need a lot of honey. Flavour does tend to go a long way, and that'll bring that lovely honey caramelised flavour into these veggies. So then, when they're all kind of coated with that, if I put the honey in too early, you're kind of risking it kind of burning and kind of losing some of its flavour. I'm going to return those back to the oven for about another 15-20 minutes until everything just starts again cooking through and becoming nice and tenderized. So having allowed this to cook for about another 15 minutes there, the vegetables just out of the oven, and you know, there's a nice little bit of caramelization starting to come on them, but you can really see the flavors have really started developing. Now with this, because it is a soup, I'm going to transfer the veg into this little, into a pot more suitable to a soup. So I'm just going to spoon those all in. Yeah. A little bit in the hot side, so I'll just spoon them all in there. So, having spooned all of those veggies in there, I'm also going to just take my pan, because there's a good lot of flavour still in that pan. Just going to put a bit of a fire underneath it. And deglaze it with about a cup of normal water. You could use stock here, but I find there's quite a lot of flavour here going on anyway. And just get every last piece of flavour out of it. I'm just going to bung that into the soup, and then just top it off just with about a litre of water. Actually, it's tricky to say an exact measurement again with some things like this, but I'm going to just about cover my veg, about so much water. That's not a litre, that's more about 600 ml. And now I'm just going to put it back in that pot there. You see, it's easy to add water back into a soup, but you can't take it back out so easy. So you're better off using less, and then decide if you need a little bit more. So now I'm just going to pop the lid on that, bring it up to a simmer, and allow it to cook for a few minutes just to make sure absolutely everything is nice and tender. So having simmered that for about 10-15 minutes, there we go. And if you think there's losing a little bit of the water, just simply top it up as you're going. Now at this stage, I'm just going to give that a quick blend. Use the old hand blender in this one. So as you're blending there, if you think it's a little bit on the thick side, as I said, very easy to add a little bit of water. Again, you could use stock, and again, you could easily use a stock cube in this as well. But I personally don't think it's necessary, but it's up to yourself completely. I'm just going to add a pinch more salt in that. Just taste it at this point yourself and decide, does it need a little bit more seasoning or not? Bearing in mind that people can always season it more on the table as well. Just gonna add a little bit of pepper in there, not much. And that's pretty much the bones of our soup. Done. I like to keep it nice and thick and like this. Have a little taste. Yeah. Another thing as well is the quality of your carrots and your vegetables are so important with something like this. If you're using a good quality organic veg, it's just going to work that a little bit better for you. It's going to have much better flavor. Because things that grow a bit slower have more time to absorb nutrients. And not only nutrients, but flavors and the way they should be growing. So just to serve this one up, just to very quickly do a little bowl of this. Just going to take generous bowl. Again, lovely, thick, nourishing soup. And into that, there's my gremolata I made earlier. As you can see, this lovely, let's get a better spoon for that. You can see this nice orangey, and that's a great way of bringing the orange into your soup. So you're essentially getting a carrot and orange soup without kind of swamping the core soup with orange. So I'm just going to drizzle that over the top. Then pumpkin seeds, you can toast them if you like, you don't have to toast them. But I just think they bring a lovely piece of texture onto the soup. And then, because of all the oranges and greens here, that's why I like the sumac. It's completely optional, sumac, but just sprinkling a little bit of that on, I just think really makes this pop. It's got that lovely citrus notes in it. I just had a few chives there as well. I'm just going to throw them over it. And there we go. Our little carrot soup, roasted, honey roasted carrot soup. With gremolata, pumpkin seeds and sumac.